The famous five, Julian, Dick, and George, and Timmy the dog, were venturing on an exciting adventure through an ancient countryside house. Bathed in the golden glow of the sunset, the walls seemed to whisper secrets of bygone days. All of a sudden, Timmy, George's loyal dog, began to bark ferociously, fixating his gaze on a particular patch of the floor. His tail wagged as if he discovered something truly extraordinary. "What's up, Timmy?" asked George, kneeling beside him and patting his furry head. Julian, with his ever-curious mind, bent down to take a closer look. The planks of the wooden floor seemed normal, yet Timmy's persistent barking suggested otherwise. "Blimey, maybe there's something hidden under there," exclaimed Dick, his eyes twinkling with excitement. "Oh, how thrilling!" cried Anne, clapping her hands in delight. "Let's have a look, shall we?" Together, the famous five began probing the floorboards. Timmy stepped back but maintained his vigilant watch, almost as if he was directing them. "Here, try this one," advised Julian as he pointed to a specific board with tiny scratches at the edges, something only a keen-eyed detective would notice. With a bit of effort and a lot of teamwork, the plank finally gave way to reveal a mysterious old chest. It was dusty, locked, and appeared untouched for numerous years. "What do you think's inside?" queried Anne, peering eagerly over Julian's shoulder. "Only one way to find out," asserted George, her adventurous spirit igniting like a flame. Julian fetched a rusty key they had found in the attic earlier during their exploration. With a satisfying click, the lock released its hold, and the lid creaked open. Inside the chest lay a collection of faded letters, tarnished jewelry, and an ancient map. The children's imaginations ran wild with stories of pirates, forgotten treasures, and hidden adventures. "This map could lead us to more secrets of the past," Julian declared, unraveling the map and studying the intricate lines and symbols. "Good boy, Timmy. You might just have sniffed out an adventure," praised George proudly, rubbing his ears. Timmy barked in agreement and swirled around joyfully, blissfully unaware of the grand escapade he had just set into motion. The famous five had once again stumbled upon a mystery begging to be solved, and with hearts full of curiosity and determination, they knew another thrilling adventure awaited them tomorrow. In the heart of a small village named Willowbrook, three adventurous children named George, Lily, and Max were known for their wild imaginations and daring quests. One sunny afternoon, as the rays of sunshine dappled through the trees, the trio decided to explore the dusty attic of Lily's grandmother's old house. Grandma had always told them stories of hidden treasures and secret passages, but they never truly believed her tales. While rummaging through a pile of neglected belongings, Max accidentally kicked an antique carpet. As the rolled fabric tumbled aside, George's eyes grew wide with surprise. Beneath the layers of dust, he saw a rusty handle fastened to the floorboards. "Look," he exclaimed, pointing urgently. They gathered around the handle, staring at the trapdoor now visible on the wooden floor. "A secret tunnel," George whispered excitedly, his heart thumping with the rhythm of discovery. Lily brushed her fingers over the door's surface, feeling a chill of mystery dance up her spine. "Do you think it leads to treasure?" she pondered aloud, her imagination sparked with visions of pirates' gold and ancient jewels. Max, always eager for adventure, suggested, "Let's find out. We'll be like real explorers, discovering the unknown." His enthusiasm was infectious. With cautious curiosity, they pried the trapdoor open, revealing a dark, earthy passage leading deep underground. The air was thick with the scent of dampness and ancient secrets. Armed with a flashlight and their collective courage, the trio descended into the shadowy depths, each step echoing with the thrill of the adventure. The tunnel walls bore mysterious carvings, whispering tales of bygone eras. In a quaint little village, nestled amongst rolling green hills, there were two siblings, Emily and Thomas, who were known for their insatiable curiosity and fervent imagination. One sunny afternoon, whilst exploring the garden of their elderly neighbor, Mrs. Winkle, they stumbled upon a peculiar wooden hatch obscured by overgrown ivy. With glances of mutual excitement, they decided to open it, revealing a dimly lit staircase leading down into the mysterious depths below. With a torch in hand, Thomas took the first step, closely followed by Emily, as they descended cautiously into the unknown. The air was thick with dust, and cobwebs clung to the walls like ancient tapestries spun by the most meticulous of spiders. Each step echoed the creaking of old wood, making their descent even more thrilling and a tad nerve-wracking. "Imagine the treasure we might find," Emily whispered, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Suddenly, their whispers were interrupted by the distinct sound of footsteps ahead. Frozen with anticipation, they listened intently. But to their surprise, the footsteps didn't appear menacing. Instead, they seemed hurried, as if the person was more afraid than they were. Mustering courage, they continued along the dim passage, the beam of their torch revealing more cobwebs and glistening eyes of scurrying mice. As they turned a corner, the mysterious walker came into view. It was none other than Mr. Bumble, the kindly village librarian, holding an ancient book close to his chest. "Goodness gracious! You gave me quite a fright," Mr. Bumble exclaimed, adjusting his glasses. "I didn't expect company down here." Thomas and Emily laughed, explaining their accidental discovery, and Mr. Bumble chuckled in return. "I've been exploring this old passage for years," he admitted. "There are many secrets and stories hidden in these walls. Keep it a secret, won't you?" With a newfound bond and promises of returning adventures, the three explorers made their way back up the stairs, leaving the world below filled with cobwebs and whispers behind. They were content with the day's unexpected excitement and the promise of more to come. Once upon a time, in a quaint little seaside town, there were two young adventurers named Dick and Jane. They loved nothing more than exploring every nook and cranny of their picturesque village. It was a breezy afternoon when their curiosity led them to the harbor, a bustling place filled with the scent of salt and fish. As they meandered through the docks, they noticed something peculiar. There was a heap of wooden barrels stacked near a shady alley. Something in the air told them that this was no ordinary spot. Creeping close, they crouched behind the barrels, peeping carefully. To their astonishment, they saw two scruffy-looking men lugging boxes from a weather-beaten boat to the alley. The contents were wrapped in a tousled fabric, with some words barely visible on the side. "Look at that," whispered Jane, pointing at the men. "They're smugglers," Dick replied in hushed tones, hardly able to contain his excitement. They watched as the men murmured to each other, occasionally glancing around nervously. Every instinct of Dick and Jane buzzed with adventure. They realized they had stumbled upon something big. "We have to find out more," Jane suggested, eyes glinting with determination. The duo set off on a spine-tingling mission, weaving through the alleys, doing their best to remain unseen. They followed the smugglers from a distance, taking careful note of the route. Finally, they arrived at a decrepit warehouse. Hiding behind some barrels again, they watched as the men disappeared inside. "Shall we go in?" Dick pondered. Jane nodded, fully aware of the risks. But adventure called, and their young hearts beat to its daring rhythm. They tiptoed closer, listening at a cracked door. Inside, voices talked about shipments and secret routes. "Quick, let's tell Officer Green," Jane insisted. The pair raced back to town, finding Officer Green, the friendly constable who knew them well. "Oh, it's you two. What's the rush?" Officer Green called out. "Smugglers at the old warehouse," Dick blurted. Officer Green listened with keen interest, nodding emphatically. In no time, Officer Green was at the warehouse with his team. The smugglers were caught red-handed, much to Dick and Jane's delight. That was brilliant. Jane cheered as they watched justice unfold. From that day onwards, Dick and Jane were known as the town's little heroes, their skills in uncovering mystery renowned among all. Whenever adventure was near, everyone knew Dick and Jane wouldn't be far behind, ready to discover and protect. And so, they lived each day with courage in their hearts and curiosity in their eyes, never missing an opportunity to uncover the hidden wonders of their world. Once upon a time, in a quaint village surrounded by lush green hills, there was an old house that everyone whispered about. It was an enormous mansion with high towers and mysterious gargoyles perched on its corners. The villagers believed it was haunted, but Jem, Rosie, and Sam thought differently. They were curious children who loved adventures and solving mysteries. One rainy afternoon, the trio decided to explore the old house. Their hearts thumped with excitement, and their imaginations ran wild with thoughts of hidden treasures and secret passages. Jem, the bravest of the bunch, led the way, torch in hand, casting flickering shadows on the damp walls. Rosie, always cautious, followed closely behind, clutching a map they had drawn after hearing tales from the old librarian. Sam, the cheerful one, couldn't help but think of the stories they'd tell their friends. The room they entered was dusty and filled with cobwebs. And there, under the dim light, they stumbled upon a shocking discovery. There were shady figures in the corner, whispering in hushed tones. The children hid behind a crumbling wall and listened carefully. It seemed these mysterious figures were planning something sinister, something that involved the old mansion. Sam's heart raced as he heard the figures mentioning plans to scare the villagers away for good. Rosie nudged Jem, who nodded, understanding what they needed to do. The children knew they had to act quickly to save their beloved village. With stealth worthy of secret agents, Jem, Rosie, and Sam snuck out of the mansion, careful not to make any noise. As they crossed the muddy path leading away from the house, the rain haunted their footsteps. But undeterred, they reached the village and rushed to the police station. They breathlessly explained what they had discovered. Inspector Brown, who admired their courage, smiled and assured them they'd catch the wrongdoers. With the children leading the way, the police arrived at the old house, just as the villains were about to execute their plan. Sirens blared and trained officers caught the villains red-handed as they tried to flee. The community was safe, and villagers cheered for Jem, Rosie, and Sam, their little heroes. The old mansion was no longer a place of fear, but a symbol of victory and the bravery of 3 curious children who saved their village. And as the sun set behind the hills, the quaint village returned to a peaceful calm, thanks to the adventure of Jem, Rosie, and Sam.